Okay, that should do it. Thank you so much for doing this. I know these things are weird any time of year, but also like talking about being on something called Best New Bands can also be really weird.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
um, I don't know. I those things always kind of weird me out anyway. Like I remember, oh my god, this was like 5 years ago, getting nominated for like the City Pages like Best New Bands thing, and like at
Oh,
first I was just like really excited because I was like, yeah, things are gonna start finally happening. But the only thing that happened was like more people just started showing up to my shows, going like, I don't know, they're not that good. I mean, like
yeah, yeah. Wow.
it's
And you got nominated, but you didn't win. Was there like
no,
a
no, that
voting
was the
process?
year. I think like Early Eyes won that year or
Okay,
something.
okay. So it is there's like a voting process to that.
Yeah, well, I mean, like also like RIP City Pages because they kind of like for a while like everyone had like their own thing, and I don't know, like the Star Trib had that contest where it was just like so City Pages had people like it was where like people were just like submitting names where it's just like you could submit whatever, and then like Star Tribune like the bands would submit their stuff, and then like I don't know how this one
Yeah.
happens because like so many people are involved that I feel like it's like it's kind of like picking the Pope. Like each radio station like submits a band in a hat, and then like it's
Yeah,
just like whoever can like agree on something. Um,
exactly.
I honestly am impressed how this show runs like relatively on time because there's like so many people on this thing. So it's like I don't know.
Yep, yep. I'm very excited. Um, my cat's
I think you
exciting
should
for the
be
plan. Yeah.
because regardless of me joking about how Buddhist like musical achievements can be, where it's just like, oh my god, this is amazing. It's like, wait, what happens now? The same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
I
still
feel
really
like
cool, and
yeah.
I think it's
It's
well
awesome.
deserved.
It's awesome. It's also weird. It's
It
both.
is
It
weird,
is both.
yeah. I do think it's well deserved because I worked I forget what show at the Turf Club, but you were opening, and I really dig the way you play. So I'm glad
Oh,
like you could
awesome.
meet with me
Was that the
today.
solid gold one?
I can't. Oh man, I can't remember. It was you solo, and
Yeah.
then it was a few months back,
Yeah, I
and
think
like
it
when
was
it's
the
time, you
solid
know.
gold. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
and so like I guess my main question before, because like the way this works is like I kind of do 3 song sets,
Okay.
just hang out, like it's kind of pretty free flowing here. But when we switch to like the radio, there's going to be a point where we're like streaming on this, but we're also live on the radio. So I might like
Okay.
reiterate some questions. Like if we start talking about something and I get carried away and I start asking you the same questions, that's why. But I
Okay, got
guess
it.
like what's your lineup going to be for this weekend? Are you still going to be solo, or are you going to like have
No.
okay, because I
No.
know you're kind of like Good Luck Finding Iris is like I don't want to say like hiatus, right? Like, or is there going to be like
We're dead. We're dead.
dead,
We're yeah.
dead?
We love Good Luck Finding Iris, but it's just kind of a dead project now. I would
Okay,
say. I think there's always opportunity for me and those guys to be making music together.
right,
But I think as Good Luck Finding Iris, it's real back burner right now.
yeah,
I've
yeah.
forgotten about it. Yeah.
It's so hard to do anything, like let alone a band. So who
Yeah.
are you working with this weekend? Like who's in your band?
Yes. So it's gonna be four of us now. It was gonna be five, but then one of them just got COVID. So
No.
it's gonna be four of
Okay.
us. It's gonna be Joey Hayes. Yeah.
Oh, Joey's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's yeah. Joey's amazing. He also drummed on my next project, so he was already kind of familiar. Um, so Joey Hayes on drums. I think he's also playing for Rafaela's band.
Okay.
So go Joey.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Oh, Joey plays
Zach
with them.
Kahn. Oh my gosh,
Okay.
yeah, I love Minneapolis for that. Zach Kahn on guitar, so amazing, and Henry Breen on bass.
Okay.
And we were gonna have Marvelous on keys, but we'll
No.
figure that out in the future. But
Okay.
yeah, it's a dream team for
Is this
sure.
the squad moving forward, or are you kind of like it's just like, all right, we got to go, we got to swing for the fences on this one?
Yeah, I felt like this is the best opportunity for me to reach out to them,
Yeah.
because they're my friends. I've looked up to them for years. I'm super stoked to be able to play this one show with them, but I
Right.
understand that they're all working on so many different projects of their own and for
Yes.
everyone else around town. So it's really like, um, I got them for this show, and I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I think just right now, it's not like I'm getting paid that much
Right.
for shows. So it's kind of like I feel bad, even though I know we have this community. I do feel bad asking people who I think are just brilliant and deserve, full time top tier musician pay. And I'm
Absolutely.
like, hey, how's $60?
I mean,
It's
that's
literally
kind of
$70.
like how things are going too.
Yeah.
And by the way, like your solo set's still like worthwhile. Like I still think people should check that out. But like
Hell
I
yeah.
I think like it's weird because I feel like I don't understand how bands are making anything work. Like if Animal Collective can't make their tour work, like who can? Other than
Yeah,
like a solo act at this point, just because like
exactly.
it's why like I mean like I was at a point where like so many bands of mine were kind of like falling apart, not because of like things were like acrimonious, although that has happened in my life. But like sometimes it just gets to a point where it's just like people like hit lifestyle milestones that they can't say no to. Like you can't just like not walk down that path. Either like someone
Yeah.
gets a teaching opportunity in New York, or so it's just like no, you're doing that. But also to like even if you get opportunities, sometimes you can't like pull them together to make it work because like all those people have lives and like things to do,
Yes.
jobs, and like so it's just like I kind of like you know, picking a name that like means something to me, but also kind of like sounds like a band. So like for stuff like this, like you can reach out
Yes.
and be like, hey, I need this. But like realistically, it's just like, hey, do you want to be in my band? You're gonna get paid $5. But it's
Yeah.
American, so the exchange rate is like pretty good.
Yeah.
like,
Exactly.
like I can't
Exactly.
in good conscience like do that to people. Like especially musicians in town like this who are all really good and all like are working on like world class stuff. Like there's so many people in town like on the down low are like doing incredible things that like
Yes.
are like low key like you would sound like mean bragging about them at parties, but like people are like doing them all the time. But
Yeah.
like that's just kind of how it goes. I don't know. Like I when I was younger, I started getting into like the production angle of like, oh, I'm gonna book my own shows and run my own thing, and I'm gonna change this whole thing. And now, like, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like getting into politics, where it's just like the system just beats you into submission to just be like, hey, those ideas
It
are cool.
really does.
Never
It
gonna happen.
really does. Yeah, I think there's so much to be said, but if I say something, am I
That's
gonna
another
get
thing. If you
blacklisted
like,
by the only venue in town?
right. There's like that's like another thing where it's just like it's
Ugh.
also a very small town. Um,
Yeah.
stand by. We're gonna go on the air here.
Deal.
Eve's Tumor. That's a tune called Kerosene. We also had Drug Dealer and Wise Blood together on a track called Suddenly, and we also had Dijon off of Mike Kota's 10 records. They would bring to a desert island, which is the whole point of the show. I asked my guests to give me 10 records, and I try to make a mixtape out of the records I got. And hopefully I'm doing a good job. If you think I'm doing a good job, I will be posting the mixtape underneath this video. If you're just tuning in, yes, off mic, we are chatting with Mike Kota. We're also chatting with Mike Kota right now. Mike, thank you so much for coming on Desert Islands. How are you doing this morning?
I am pretty good. How are you doing?
Like Mercury's in Gatorade, and I am clearly not like all there, but that's I feel like something I could have said every week for the past 2.5 years. So
Yep.
who's to say? I'm walking, I'm talking. I'm on 2 feet. I'm doing my best. And I think that's more than I can say most days of the week. So I'm feeling pretty good. But I think you should be feeling pretty good because this weekend you are playing Best New Bands at First Avenue. The next couple sets, we're going to hear some of the bands you're going to be on the bill with. But let's talk about your band. Off mic, we kind of got a who's who of the lineup. But now that we're with a new set of listeners, would you mind just talking about who's going to be playing with you this weekend?
Yes, absolutely. I am so stoked and honored to be playing alongside Joey Hayes on drums,
Nice.
Zach Kahn on guitar, and Henry Breen on bass. Unfortunately, the last member of the band, a pianist under the name Marvelous, just got
Yeah.
COVID, so he will not be joining us.
Ooh.
But nonetheless, this is a dream team, and I'm stoked for it.
Yeah, it's a really great lineup, and that is a solid band to bring to the table. So I want to get into some of this lineup because I want to actually play some of your music, but we're gonna have a set of stuff featuring some of the people on the bill. Here's a tune
Yay.
with Neil Francis featuring Rafaela. But we're also going to have some Obi Original and some Kill Us Online coming up. If you're just tuning in, this is Desert Islands, the show where I make mixtapes for my guests based on the 10 records they bring to a desert island. Talking with Mike Kota right now. And today's mixtape is for Mike Kota. So let's keep it going, shall we? Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So yeah, obviously, one of our so the host of our local show, I can't say the local show because a certain radio station is actually trying to like copyright
Really?
which is like wild to me. So a particular show
I don't think that's
on
going to be
our fine
successful.
network that features local programming. The host of that program, it's called MSP Sound, and her name is Krista Wax. She is going to be one of the MCs at that. So like we're obviously doing this show, but if there's like we don't have to like specifically need to hammering this on. Like I think we should promote the heck out of it. But if you have other stuff you want to talk about or promote or stuff you're working on, let me know because like we can work that into the conversation. But also I want to make sure we plug it
Yes.
on air because it's like a different set of listeners. According to according to our the folks listening on Discord, Mercury is not in Gatorade today. It
I
went
have
out.
no idea.
I could have
Okay,
pulled.
great. Well, then things are going perfectly. Yeah.
Yes. There we go.
I don't know anything about anything. It feels like Mercury is in retrograde every other week. I don't keep up with it, but I'm just like,
No.
okay.
No.
Well,
Well, I think it's like it feels. It almost feels like a bit at this point where it's just like
yes.
like every other week people are like, oh yeah, well this happens, and people are like, of course. I'm just like, I feel like we were just there though. They're like, well yeah, but like I don't know. But I mean at this point, I don't know. I'm
Time is
sure
a blur. Yeah.
I've worked at a bar enough times on a full moon to like fully not discount any of that stuff where it's just like, yeah, no, it's like if it if it doesn't matter, why is it different every time? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just like my own feelings, like kind of like projecting into that, where it's just like I feel different. But like, no, I don't know. I not saying I believe, just not not you know. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I'm saying I don't know enough to talk about it.
Mm.
Where it's like, it's just, it is what it is. That's that. I won't say anything for or against it because I don't know enough.
Kudos to you for actually doing that, because I feel like it is the natural thing to like not know about something and just say like, all right, I'm gonna like take my crack at an opinion anyway. I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know why I don't know is not like said more often.
Yeah,
It should
yeah.
be, especially like in today. Like it's like there's so much stuff I am not qualified to talk about.
That's right.
and,
That's
and I'm
right.
not going to. I don't even know why I should be asked about it, but sometimes you get in those situations where you need a hot take about everything, apparently, and I don't think you do.
You
Like,
really don't. You really don't. Yeah.
okay, so back to the point I was trying to make, because after this set, I'm going to do a local calendar of just like events in town, and obviously we're going to go back to Best New Bands.
Okay.
But if there's shows after that,
Yes.
let me know, because we'll take like another separate talk break on that. But you mentioned you had a project that you were working on with some of the players in your band.
Yes.
Is there a release timeline on that? Because I don't want to like ask a question.
Yeah. No, not really. There
Like
isn't.
totally. Okay, cool.
It's like there's a loose timeline, but it's really just, things take their time. Somebody gets sick, something is in
Yes.
the way, everything gets pushed back, and yeah, so that's that.
Yeah, there's always like things that like you can't control, and I don't want to like force you to like Babe Ruth a release date where it's just like,
Oh
now
yeah.
that I'm on the radio, it's
No,
like
I'm too
that's
smart. I would never do that to myself. I would never do that to myself. I hate pressure.
no,
I already
it's,
put too much on myself.
it's not even worth it, really. Like I think I put myself into arbitrary deadlines. Otherwise, like I don't think the combination of like ADHD and anxiety would let me do anything. But
Exactly.
like I don't think I don't think there needs to be a timeline on stuff, as much as just like me being curious about are we going to hear something soon? Is this like a later this year thing, or
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very soon. I just have to get like the last, recording done. Trying to commission some artwork. Maybe start talking to my friends about making a music video. We'll see. We'll see. Everything takes time. I think
Yeah.
the most important part is I focus on the recordings and get
Yeah.
the music itself done.
Who are you working with this time around?
Oh, Zach Zern from Carpet Boot Studios in
Oh yeah,
Rochester.
Carpenter is great. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm so happy I went with him and his team. It's just
Yeah.
so exciting.
I mean, they've been doing a lot of great stuff for a long time. I mean, they kind
Hmm.
of I think they did some of Young Gravy's stuff, which is
They
like
sure did. They sure did. That's epic. That's hilarious and epic. Yeah.
it's like I still don't know what to think about that whole thing, because like
I've not heard a single song from Young Gravy, so
yeah, me
that's just
neither.
right over my
I
head.
have like I haven't heard a single song, and I knew he was like it's just um like kind of blowing up a little bit, but like I didn't realize like blowing up to the point of
Yeah.
like talks of like playing the Armory, where it's just like normally there's like a process where it's like, oh yeah, I just heard about this band, and then they play like a venue I'm working at, and I'm like, oh yeah, I just heard about this band, and then like a little
Yeah.
bit later like that band is opening for somebody, and it's just like, oh whoa, that's crazy, I just heard about, like there's like levels of that. Young Gravy was just
Yeah.
like, oh wait, I I didn't even know they were from Minnesota. Yeah, I think they're from Rochester. Next week, it's just like, yeah, they're like, like just like.
Exactly.
So I don't know what's going on with that. I know Carpet Booth was like a step on the the Young Gravy journey, but they also have done stuff like the Glow Mechanics stuff, which is like I always thought that was really good. But they also have like a few good country records under their belt. Like the guest next
Oh
week,
yeah.
Clay Fulton's record, I think he did at Carpet Booth, and all the Midwest Music Fest sessions are like filmed there,
Yes. Yep.
and it's really cool stuff. So how do you do? About 30 seconds left on this.
Okay.
We'll put a pin on that, and then I'll start talking about the stuff happening this weekend. We'll get back to this stuff.
Cool.
Appreciate your patience. Okay, 10 seconds here. Kill Us Online. Who is playing this weekend at Best New Bands? Also, Rafaela was playing with that Neil Francis tune at the top of that set. And we also had Obi Original. All of these artists are playing with Mike Kota at Best New Bands this Friday. Also happening this week and beyond. Let's start with some stuff happening tonight. Faded Hand Stamps Productions is going to feature May, Uncle Jesse's Comb, Identity Crisis, Pure Shifter, and I'm playing tonight at Palmer's. So you can see that. Tomorrow, Yellow Ostrich, Trash Date, and Lupin will be at Ice House. Friday, Best New Bands. We'll be talking all about that in just a few minutes. But also, King Perry is at the Turf Club in St. Paul, and Drone Not Drones is going to be starting and ending later. That is basically 29 straight hours of drone music, various musicians at the Cedar Cultural Center. So you can come in and out. You can bring a pillow if you want, but yeah, you can do that. And also, if you want to go in and out, Bethany Larson is releasing a music video this weekend. So on Friday at Palmer's, you can see her with Sabre Ray and the Change-Ups. Saturday, Zipporah's album release. We talked to her last week, and it is this Saturday. So you can finally see that. In St. Paul, we have Colin Bracewell, who was on the show not too long ago, with Products, Parachutes, and Present Company at the Turf Club. Looking ahead, Charlie Parr is going to be at the Turf Club every Sunday this month, and the Cactus Blossoms are going to be at the Turf Club every Monday this month. And then what else we got? I guess Big Music Fest is always on the horizon. You joke, but all these music festivals are going to be dropping their lineups if they haven't already, and plan ahead because they're coming. It's gonna be May tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, I think I missed something, or you just want to hear me mispronounce your band name on the air. Email it to desertislandskfai@gmail.com. Curate everything I just said from the stuff you sent me. So keep sending me things. Let's talk about the show this weekend. I know we've been talking about it already, but I guess I'm kind of curious, how do they decide the order? Do you know already? Well, I'm sure you have to know, but like, do you just find out of just like, hey, this is what it is, or do they kind of give it to you on the load-in schedule? Because that's a lot
Yeah.
of that's like a lot of
Yeah.
bands.
Yeah. They just sent it over. I don't think I'm able to talk about it until they announce
Totally
it.
fine. Totally
Yeah.
fine.
But yeah, it was just in the email. I'm worried about the sound check. I don't know if I'm gonna get a sound check, or
It's
I mean, I'm sure I will get a line check, but I don't know if I will
yeah.
actually. There's a lot of bands going on or coming in and loading in, and it's full bands. They gotta sound check everybody,
Right.
so we'll see. We'll see. It'll happen.
It's kind of like a music festival almost, where
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
you might get a check, you might not. It usually always ends up well. I think you're in good hands for that night.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
but I want to make sure we talk about your music as well. I want to play a track called "It's Not Serious," uh, but you also have a few tracks doing some numbers on Spotify right now. So who'd you work with on these tracks? Like, were these different producers? Are they from a larger work that you're hoping to kind of release later, or is like, because especially "It's Not Serious," who'd you work with on this track?
So that was mixed by Henry Breen,
Okay.
who's playing bass at the show and who's also part of Why Not Band, which I love. I'm also wearing their T-shirt.
Nice. They're
Um,
great.
yeah, he's awesome, amazing, just all around musician and producer, and also just just a friendly, approachable, welcoming person. So it was one of those things where I had produced it, recorded it, and I was like, can we do this in person? Because I feel a large sense of doom in the mixing process, especially when it goes off to somebody, it comes back like unrecognizable. And then I'm like,
Yes.
okay, here, let me put in my 3 hours of like meticulous notes, but mixing is like moving water blocks around and you move one and it pushes another one. And so
Right,
it's just like
right.
you
And
send your notes, it comes back, and more things to fix. It's so we did it in person, and he was amazing. So that It's Not Serious was mixed by Henry and then mastered by Alec Ness, also produces under Suna, just
nice, yeah.
amazing local guy.
It's funny that you say that because I feel like for a lot of musicians, the mixing process can kind of be like taking your car to the mechanic, where it's just like, oh, great, this is where I'm going to find out all the things that are wrong with the mix
Yes,
and how much money
yes,
it's going to take to fix it and how it's my fault for some reason for like, and it's like that sometimes
yes.
it's like, oh no, this is going to be painful and I don't know how to fix it and I don't know what to do.
Exactly. And it's gonna look really bad as you start to like pull things apart. Oh my God. It's doom. You gotta trust the process.
You do, because like I do enjoy trying to make my own recordings for like just the art of learning more about it. But like every time I do that, there's definitely a point where I am reminded why we take our things like cars to mechanics because when
Yes.
you work with someone who's really good at fixing things, it I'm almost in awe of like the art to that
Oh
of
yes.
being able to just replicate the sound that you're kind of going for in your head and treat that like an instrument. I think that is not talked about enough because like live sound, if you're doing a good job, no one notices. People are like, oh man, this band is great. But if you're doing a bad job, everyone notices and it's your fault.
Yes.
And
Yes. Yeah.
an unsung thing and it's kind of a dark art. But enough talking about that. Why don't we actually listen to the track? Here is "It's Not Serious" by Mike Kota here on KFAI. This is like always the most awkward part to do a mic switch because it's like right at the point where it's the person I'm like interviewing, it's like their track. And I feel like having been on the other end of this, like it's like the most nerve-wracking experience, especially because like if you're in like a new release cycle and you just listen to this like so many times and you're still in that mindset,
Oh
it's like,
yeah.
even good. Should this been the single? Why did I pick this song? This song's not even like I don't even like this song anymore. This
Exactly.
is
Yeah, no,
like,
I just got past that. I'm totally fine with it. This is really fun and cool for me.
well, I'm glad.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
glad.
not worried about it.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, let's go back to the new stuff, just because, well, one, I don't want to like put a timeline on it, just because like still in production. I think it's like better to focus on the task at hand.
Yeah.
But yeah, how did you go down to Carpet Booth? Because like it's like It's kind of like where Pachyderm is. Like, it's just far enough
Yeah.
out of town that if you wanted to like stay there, you could, but it's
Yes.
just close enough that like you can go down for a day and be like, all right, I'll see you in a few weeks. Like did you piecemeal it, or did you kind of like just go in there
Yeah.
and
We did
start
3.5
holistically
days.
recording it? Okay, whoa. So like all
Yeah.
at once?
Yeah. Yep, and so we did everything except for vocals, which I'm still working on now. Because I kept getting
Yeah, that's
sick,
always
kept
that's
getting
always a
scheduled for
challenge.
work. I moved, my setup got, destroyed. Excuse me, but
No.
well, it didn't get destroyed as in we just moved.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah, yeah.
I tore down all my things. So now I'm recording in my parents'
I thought stuff got
bedroom
damaged
closet.
in the because that has
Oh,
happened to me where
yes.
it's like you move and you're like, ah, it doesn't turn on anymore. What happened? And you're like,
Yeah. Oh my God. No,
okay,
thank
that's
goodness.
good.
It's not my
That's
problem.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, moving is like one of the. I don't think it's talked about. Like of the first world problems, like that's got to be top 5. Like of like
It
the worst
sucks.
things.
Yeah,
Like
there's so much
like
work. And you get, yeah, it's like if you don't do it all at once,
oh yeah,
then things will just stay
and
unboxed or unput up on the wall for like the entire time you're living in your new lease. Yeah.
I moved with boxes from my last move. And I still tell myself, it's like, well, that's fine because we can put it in the basement and then we can get settled in. And like, actually, it's like, no, that box is still in the basement and it's still not touched. And I
Yeah.
still have things from like the last move because I also recently moved, but like September of last year, which is like just long enough where I probably shouldn't be talking about like, yeah, I'm still unpacking, but
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
still am. I don't know. Like it moving does that. Um, but it's also kind of like it it can kind of like dominate your life where it's just like, oh yeah, we'll get right back to this as soon as like moving would only take the weekend, and it's just like it can kind
I
of like
know.
throw your whole year into disarray. Moving sucks. I hate
Yeah.
moving.
Yeah, exactly. So slowly but surely getting my stuff back together. But yeah. Um,
So are you gonna have to go back to Rochester to do vocals? Or are you doing that like remotely, like
Yes, I'm
kind of
doing
getting
that right now in my parents' master bedroom closet because it's already nicely padded with all their clothes.
nice, nice.
And yeah, I know how to record my vocals, and actually I prefer to do them alone because I'm going to spend hours making
Right,
various noises in order to achieve the right timbre for that one
right,
word.
right,
Yeah.
right, right, right. And I hate doing that stuff because I feel like it's like, oh, this is like why animals like go out into the woods alone to die, where it's just like nobody needs to see this. Like we all know where we're going
Exactly.
here, but like you don't
Yes.
need to hear the same like noise over and over and over again. Or like, are they
Yeah.
done? Like I feel like like that's kind of like
Yeah.
it. I you. It's hard to explain without actually have done it, and it's just like, what do you even the last take sounded exactly the same. It's just like, but it didn't though.
It really didn't. It really didn't. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It really didn't. Yeah, that's why we're doing it 5 more times.
Exactly. Okay, well, I think that's one of like, I don't know, I think of all the places to do it, I think like you definitely picked a really good spot. Just because it's I don't know. Something's going on in Rochester right now. Like, if you talked to me 5 years ago, I would have laughed at myself. It was just like,
Yeah.
really, Rochester? But like, no,
Yeah.
there is like something. Like, there's a few good bands coming out of there. There's a few good venues coming out of
Hmm.
there. But also, like, the people in town creating in that scene, there is a culture of like, well, why don't we use like the city's budget to like actually bring artists down here to work with,
Hell yeah.
which I like. I love how proactive that is. It's just like, well, why don't we just build the thing we want to see? And you know, like I love that spirit no matter what, because like I don't think it can happen any other way. like
Yeah.
like otherwise you're just gonna get like the weird situation we're in now, where it's just like every industry is kind of dominated by these like oligarchs, and you're not allowed to call them oligarchs, because if you do, like you become like the problem, and no one wants to work with the problem, so you can't call
Exactly.
like you can't call the thing that's obviously that thing what it is, or it you know, because the goal is to just keep making work and performing, and like why complicate it any more than it is, even though it's messed up and should be like should be talked about, but like also
Yeah.
like do we need another think piece about this when nothing has really changed, is kind of
Yeah.
where I'm at with it. Where it's just like, do we need like another thing about like, well, I haven't said it yet, so we, you know, like, because like I do think there was a lot of productive discourse, and the scene has kind of gone through a lot of like, I don't know, moving, shaking, like the earth is being tilled a little bit. And I
Yes.
think there are some people who are kind of Sherry's Good Stuff. So that is off of Weeds Records. They're down. That's a label out of the Driftless, down in Winona La Crosse area. And that's new from them. That record came out late last year. We also heard Palm Psalm, a new track from Palm Psalm, Blood and Water, and Mike Kota at the top of that set. So if you're just tuning in, this is Desert Islands, the show where I make mixtapes based on my guest 10 records that they would bring to a desert island. And today's mixtape is for Mike Kota. And I think we only have 2 more records left on the Desert Islands picks list. And this happens pretty often on this show, that I get carried away and completely forget to even talk about the homework assignment that I made you do, which is can sometimes feel impossible. So I will try to ask just a brief icebreaker about this list, because there's a lot of music that made me fall in love with music, but Coltrane didn't really inspire me to think I could actually perform music, if that makes sense. Is there an artist on this list that inspired you? Oh, wait, not only can I do this, I should be doing this.
I would say King Cruel. I think I put 2 albums on the 10 albums. I was gonna put
Yeah.
3, but I was like, we gotta chill. King Cruel is my idol. I love him so much. My goal is to actually bring him up in every interview I do. Until
Nice.
no, this is me.
There we go. We got
Yeah,
it.
exactly. No, King Cruel. I think what I have realized in the past couple of years is that not everybody likes King Cruel. Actually, a lot of people can't stand the way he sings, and I love it. I love it so much.
Right.
And I've heard that from other people, and they're like, "Oh, that's your favorite artist?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yes."
Yeah.
And that's exactly how I will relate myself to other people. I can be that meaningful to certain people, and also I do not need to cater to everyone, and I will not be loved by everyone, and I might even be hated and make people confused. And I think that's great. And I just, yeah, so King Cruel for sure is he hits
That's
me like
what
no other, and he's not for everyone.
I love that mindset for art, just because I don't think you can please everyone at the, like, it's just impossible. So like, why try? But now in an era where we haven't been able to freeze time like this in the history, like, it's not that we haven't been creating like this. I firmly believe like there was this whole troubadour tradition, kind of like, it was kind of documented, but like I think there's like just entire pieces of culture lost to the fact that like, we're writing things down for thousands of years. Now we can like experience hundreds of years of culture all at once. And now, or at least I've noticed this in my students, is like, because it all exists all at once, they don't really care that the Beatles came before Nirvana. They just like the songs that they like, and it's not about like this weird canon of like, oh, but this is the best and this came before and this, like it's more about like just making the thing they actually want to see in the world. And I love artists like that are kind of polarizing, because like, whether, because there are a few artists where I'm on the other side of the fence, where it's just like, I just can't get into that.
Yeah, exactly.
Look away from those artists for some reason, where it's like, I don't like the band. Why am I listening to their new album? I don't like, it's like, I love stuff like that, because it's like, whether you're into it or not, you're not forgetting it. It like something, it's like a David Lynch film, like subconsciously it hit you in a way that you're like, but why do I care? Like, I kind of love those artists that get under your skin, like, and it's only because like he is so like kind of violently himself, like whether you like it or not, like it, like, you know, when you're listening to a King Cruel record, even in like the vibey parts where it's like, oh, this could be a few different bands, when he hits the mic, you know exactly where you are. And that's kind of hard to do as an artist, if you really think about it, like to be that distinct. And I don't know. I think that's what makes music actually fun to listen to. Well, speaking of actually listening to music, why don't we do that, shall we? Because we got some Dirty Projectors featuring Bjork. We also have some King Cruel coming up next, and some Pine Grove. But first, we have this.
Programming is supported by Family Tree Clinic, which provides reproductive and sexual health care and education. Now open at 1919 Nicollet Avenue in Minneapolis.
Sorry about that. Forgot to switch. I realized we have like 17-ish minutes left. And there's these underwriting carts that I have to like play for like because and I keep forgetting to do that. Okay, here we go. I keep the music a little bit low because even though we're a radio station and we actually pay for the rights to all this stuff, sometimes Facebook will like kick us off.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And it's not that we don't have the rights to do it. It's just all that stuff is done by robots now. So like it's their job to just be like, and then they press the button and they kick you off. And then we always win the appeal, but like it totally like,
at what cost?
Well, like people actually watch it, like, you know, like I can see there's like a handful here, and then there's a handful on Facebook, and then there's a handful on the third thing. But like it's really hard to get those people to come back once you get kicked off. And that's like
exactly
the thing about it.
But
the problem is the the surefire way to know your mic is not accidentally on is the music comes through the main studio monitors, and I am so deaf from either playing or like working a show that like sometimes I can't hear the music and I'm like, oh my god, I left my mic on.
Yeah.
It's like it's not it's why I try not to curse during these segments, like because we technically can, but it's like a teacher thing. Like I teach music in St. Paul Public Schools, so it's like kind of like, hey, just don't do that. But also like I know one of these days where it's just like, oh yeah, we can totally curse here, and I can drop one in for effect. That's the day my mic's gonna be on, and it's happened before.
Yeah,
like, it's definitely happened. But yeah, that's basically it. So here's the thing. This set is gonna last about 11-ish minutes, which is fine, but that's going to bring us back with like 5 minutes left at the top of the hour.
Okay.
And then the show after this one is Democracy Now! So like KFAI is a little bit cool about like bleeding over, where it's just like sometimes hosts will hang out, and but because it's Democracy Now! I gotta try my best to make sure we're like ending on time.
Sure.
So the next talk break is gonna be kind of like the wrap up, obviously, like best new bands, but like this will be kind of like anything we didn't get even a chance to talk about today that we're like, oh my god, I was gonna go on and do this thing. It's like perfect time to talk about this thing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it now, because like I will just talk regardless.
Nice.
But like on that break, let's like try to make a mention of that, even if it's like something like not related to what you're doing specifically, or like just it's like, oh, I'm participating in this thing and we should shout this out as well. Yeah,
Nice.
that's like
Yes.
that's fine. But yeah, is there anything,
Yes.
any specific dates you want to mention post the best new bands?
Yes. February 11th,
Oh, nice.
my partner has a band called Psylo, Psylo, and I will
Okay.
be playing with them for their release show at Palmer's.
Nice. Okay.
So
Nice,
that's
nice.
awesome.
All right. Well, let's make sure we
if-
mention that on the air as well. What else?
Sweet.
Okay.
Yeah. I have to find it first. I'm going to my friend's show. It's Ava Levy and Henry Breen. They're dating. Ava's the main act, and then Henry, I think, is playing with them. And then also Daphne Jane, 7th Street entry tonight. That's where I'll be. That's why I'll
Oh
plug
yeah,
my friends.
I think isn't Dark Bunny on that show too?
Could be.
yeah.
I knew like 3 people that are playing in the bands. And I was like, okay, I gotta go.
I
Now
gotta
that I
go
don't
to
have
that thing.
work, finally, this is my
Nice.
first week without
See, that's
work. Well, I
that
have
is
work on
my
Saturday.
curse. I'm always working, so like
Yeah.
I feel like that's one of the big reasons I do this show, is because like I can never go to people's things.
Yeah,
I can't.
but here I can help in this way.
Yeah, I can do this, but like it's like my nights off are like Monday and Tuesday night, you know. Like
Yeah.
it's just like it kind of happens that way. And when it doesn't happen, like I'm either like playing one where I'm like just like taking time off because I need to learn the lesson that just because you're free doesn't mean you're available. You know,
Exactly.
like
That's what I've been facing is I get like a couple days off and I'm like, well, I could have a social life or I could
yes.
have time to myself.
And both
You
of
know?
those things are really important to the human psyche, actually. It's like too much alone time is bad, and too much like socialization, like you get to that point where it's just like I actually had stuff I was supposed to do.
Yeah. You're beating yourself up for having a good time.
Yeah, I'm like the undisputed world champion of like just carrying that Catholic guilt and just like letting it like fester until it's like a knot in my shoulder, and I don't know why, but this year
why do you do that?
I don't know. I feel like it's like in a weird way, I feel like we were trained to think it's like you know how like the fight or flight response is like it's actually there to help you. Like I wonder if it's like those things got like tied together, and that's like in that like weird like
you're not gonna make the same mistakes again if you're still beating yourself up for it.
Right. And it's like it's like almost a defense mechanism that like you kind of have to train yourself to like not be in fight or flight, because it's like it's so hard though. And every year I say like, oh, my New Year's resolution is like to learn how to slow down. And it's just like, I almost think like it's kind of like this, where it's just like, oh, I never get to hang out with like friends or without like booking a thing for like, it's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, come on this thing. Or like, I'm like hosting a bill where it's like, hey, you should play on this bill, because otherwise I'm not going to see you for like 9 months.
Yeah.
And it's I now I don't even know where I was going with this, the fight or flight thing. But like, I tried to teach myself how to slow down, and I think the only way you can do it is to like actually schedule slowing down.
Yes. Yeah. And then keeping your schedule,
Yeah,
honoring that, like, no, I'm supposed to be with me today,
yeah,
doing nothing,
and
and I'm gonna feel good about it.
otherwise I'm either going to like do nothing by default or overwork myself by default.
Yeah.
And I don't think either are good for your output as an artist either. Like, are you really doing your best stuff when you're just like kind of, because like working yourself to death is kind of the same as like mailing it in to an extent, where you're just like, I just gotta, all right, we just gotta do this thing, all right, and then
Yeah.
tomorrow we gotta do another thing. Like, I think it's kind of a lateral move, and yet every year I find myself in the same position. Like, this is the year I change. It's like, I do think I'm gonna have to schedule it. Otherwise, I don't know. That's my main thing, and I'm gonna see how it goes, because we're in January. I still have time to like stick to the plan.
That's right. That's right.
But like you said, best laid plans. Like, it's not always, like it's like similar situation where like, oh, we have this, and then you move, and then like, trying to figure out like a health insurance thing, because it's just like, like my partner's in a situation where it's just like, hate their job, but insurance, hey, that's a real thing, and now like this whole thing that we planned for February has to change, because it's like, oh, we got to take care of like this health insurance thing. And it's just like, so it's like, you never want to say never, but you also like, if you got to plan a little, otherwise so I don't know. Nothing's in control, and I have no idea what's going on.
That's right. That's right. Amen.
But yeah, like it's totally like a thing where it's like that affects your social life too, where it's just like, you just gotta try not to let the little hater in your brain where it's like, oh yeah, but people are like, yeah, but they do this every time. It's like, no, like we legitimately like can't do it because like this thing happened, and like I don't know. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
30 seconds left. So let's make sure we plug the Palmer show.
Yes.
And then also a show tonight. And then whatever else from there, we'll figure it out. Because, yeah, we got enough time. So stand by. King Cruel there on Desert Islands. That's actually like the last pick on Mike Kota's list. We also had some Dirty Projectors and Pine Grove at the top of that set. Mike, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I know these things are always weird in general, but especially when you have the Best New Bands show this weekend. That is Friday, January 20th. So if folks like what they heard, chances are they're going to like what you do. So go check that out. But is there anything you would like the listeners to know about before we get going? Do you have any shows after this Best New Bands thing, or just anything you want listeners to check out afterwards?
Yeah. First, thank you so much for having me. Also, I like your red glasses.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. February 11th at Palmer's. It'll be my first time at Palmer's. I'll be playing for my partner. He's got a band called Silo, Psylo. They're kind of y'all-ternative. I think that's what they're calling it. They're having their EP release. They're wicked talented, lots of chops, lots of little like Midwest emo going on. So definitely come to that show if you can't make it to the 20th. There should be some other shows going on in February for me, but tonight I'm going to see my friends Ava Levy. Ava is one of my favorite musicians out here in the Twin Cities, but she's not been playing around. I think she's just getting started here, but she's wicked talented.
Sure.
She'll be opening up for Daphne Jane's show at 7th Street, so I'm trying to go see that tonight to support.
Nice. So if folks like what they heard earlier, where can they hear it again? Where's the best place they can check out Mike Kota? Just because I know streaming services are kind of controversial these days, but do you have a preferred place where people can get their hands on your music?
No, Spotify. You can also listen to my upcoming EP. I had released all of the demos on my SoundCloud if you want to hear those. But yeah, before it comes out, I guess they're all demos, just self-recorded.
There we go. Well, check out
Curious.
Bandcamp and Mike Kota on SoundCloud. Mike is also going to be at Best New Bands, hosted by our own Krista Wax this weekend at First Avenue. Next weekend, we have Clay Fulton and the Lost 40, but right now we have some Little Dragon. Thanks for tuning in to Desert Island. Stay tuned for Democracy Now! There we go. I might be stealing the alternative because that is amazing.
Yeah, it's real good because it really is the alternative. It's got a little country in there.
I love that that's like one a thing, but also like just one is kind of good news for me because I feel like I've been kind of messing with a little bit of country and bluegrass and everything I do, but not really. Like not enough to like call it that because like I grew up playing in those circles and it's like people make jokes about the Dylan Goes Electric thing, but like if you like, not to sound like Mike Love, but like if you fuck with the formula, like some people are either like, yo, that's awesome, but like you can also like ostracize yourself from the community where it's just like you get like the scarlet letter, like heretic, like it's like that's not how you're supposed to do it. It's like I love that like in fifth wave emo, like people are adding country again, and like people are just kind of like slipping it in there because like it's not really country, and I wouldn't want to call myself that or like a bunch of artists that I enjoy that, even though I know they're inspired by it, but like it would also be a disservice to them as artists to call them a country music artist or a folk artist because it's like that's not really what they're doing either. Like it's something different. Yeah. And like y'all alternative, like that just hits. Like that's so like
great.
Perfect.
I don't know who came up with it, but I was like, that is so good. Yeah.
Y'all alternative. I think the funniest thing I got was I was doing a show and it was clearly that the locals were like, they were there to watch the game. And like some guy like came back from smoking and just heard one song. And then in between that, like as soon as that song was over, like just like took the toothpick out of his mouth and just went like, how is this? Some kind of hillbilly house music? And I was just like, honestly, that's kind of what I'm going for. And he's just like,
that's hilarious.
Yeah, like it's just like it's not country, it's not bluegrass. It would piss people off to call it that, you know.
Yeah,
but like we need a new label, and I think that's like
roast me, I'll pick from that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, and also like I definitely think like that is a sound right now. Like a lot of people are mixing that in and coming up with like really cool stuff, and it's just like I don't know how to describe it because it's like I can't get the old heads into it if I call it country. You know?
Yeah.
But like it's like stuff I know they would enjoy. It's like vegan food. If you don't tell them it's vegan, people are like, oh, this is really good. But if you lead, it's like, hey, would you like my vegan whatever? But like, it's like, hey, we're gonna go home and like make dinner. You want to come? And it's like, oh yeah, this is really good. Then you let them know. It's
Exactly.
like, I don't get why that is, but like it totally is.
Have you seen that video of the sausage professional who's like, who they lied to him on air, like on television? They're like, these are two, like, the one is fake sausage and one is real sausage, and they were
Yeah.
both fake. He was like, why would you do that? That's a real mean trick.
Because arrogance is fun to mock.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
Now that I got Democracy Now! Rolling on here, I'm gonna have to end this whole thing, but this is a lot of fun. Thanks for like hanging out and chatting with me. I have to work the Fitzgerald, so I won't be at the show. But good luck. Have a lot of fun.
Well, thank
and
you.
yeah, let me know. Let me know when your next gig is. Like I'll put it on the calendar and all that fun stuff.
Awesome, and good luck at your show tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Stay warm, and if you're going out, stay safe because apparently it's snowing again tonight.
All right.
So we got. All right. Good to see you, Mike. Have a good one.
All right.
And,